Hello. Hey, Ryan. Do you like surprises?
Not really.
I mean, you surprised
Sorry,
me with
should
your
I-
get up here today.
Well,
What are you doing over there?
I figured we would be talking about some more tough big boy spells, so I decided to dress the part.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's dressing the part. You can cast big boy spells without needing the crazy old
know.
mage get up, but
The
I mean,
little,
just in
little
general.
bits of anime I've seen, man. Whenever they get to the high final level stuff, dude, they're looking crazy.
Yeah, or they're the completely unremarkable main character who is this scrawny person. It can just cast everything ever all the time.
Well, that's not
It's
me.
one or the other, but really, do you like surprises?
Sometimes.
I mean, okay, well, in the cases that you do like them, why do you like them?
Because they're fun, man. They just put a smile on my face.
Usually, I mean, there's some bad surprises, I imagine.
Or you freak out, boom, punch somebody in the face, and
That's more likely. Or like
Yeah.
a tickle.
you ever seen those
Tickles
like
aren't
prank videos? Whenever it's like they're usually in some foreign language, right? And pop up on your Facebook feed, and it's some person, some nice happy couple walking down the street, or a family, and then some jackass just sitting in
Good series.
a trash can, right? And then hops out dressed like a clown. Just horrifying.
I mean, I'm not particularly scared of clowns. I'm not a part of that fear. And I'm sure that has like a scientific name, like submechanophobia.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
I don't know. Probably.
I don't know. Submechanophobia. There's been a couple of YouTube videos been watched with submechanophobia. You know what that is?
No.
So submechanophobia is the fear of man-made things submerged underwater.
So
Most
like
of the
a
time
wreck
for
or
long
something?
periods of. Yeah, there's people that they can't look at it
Like Atlantis.
at all. But those aren't the type of surprises I'm talking
It's called
about today, Ryan.
Before we move on, it's called coulrophobia, fear of clowns.
How do they come up with that?
Coulrophobia.
So most of these are from Latin or Greek, right? They get those root words and then turn it into something. What?
Sure.
Do they just go and find the Latin word for clown and smack it with phobia?
Maybe.
I'm super curious about that. I can hear him typing. This would be another good
The
surprise.
Latin
for me
word
today.
for clown is scurra.
Well, that was not as exciting as I thought it was going
Sounds
to be.
like scare. Maybe that's where it comes from.
I don't know. Clowns are weird, man. I don't understand that profession. But hey, if you're a clown out there, I did do a clowning class in my theater movement class.
Really?
I did, man. When I was a freshman in college, back when I was a wee lad.
You do any
How many,
juggling?
4 years ago. There's some juggling. I can juggle 3 balls, but that's not from the clown class. I did that when I got my first real world adult job. That happened when I was working in an office. We had a team bonding exercise, and certain team members would plan it. This time around, this team member took us to a gymnasium where we learned how to juggle. I'm
Weird.
no longer the scrub that can only do 2 in a circle, Ryan.
Well, three's
I
still
can
not
do-
much.
I can do. Can you do 3?
I'm not talking about me right here, man. We're talking about you, okay?
All right.
So-
Well, in the context of you and I here, because I'm pointing right. Yeah. Okay. Good. Because you're Ryan,
That's Braxton. Sorry, he's
and
Braxton.
here at least on the dungeon crawl, we're talking about between us. So I can juggle more than you. But something that I can't do and haven't been able to do ever, because not a single campaign I've been in has lasted long enough, is cast 9th level spells.
Woo.
Which are some big bad boys. We've been talking about spells for the last 3 weeks now. Hopefully you're not tired of them, because today we figured Ryan and I could go through
It's the Mac Daddy
and discuss our favorite 9th level spells. We did a little bit of it last week, but for this week we're going to do the ever popular tier list for 9th level spells here on the Dungeon Crawl.
Yeah, unfortunately, audio listeners, we'll do our best to explain it. You know, it's the typical kind of S through F tier stuff, and we'll explain what we're putting it into. But if you want the full experience, I'll say, head over to our YouTube channel. You can find it in the description in the link tree area, or you just go to YouTube, type in the Dungeon Crawl Podcast, will pop up, and that will have the whole tier list with our faces on it and us putting things and deliberating over it. So head over there.
The important thing, and especially after talking with Kenneth, who's been on the podcast itself for the Shadowfell episode and eventually for the live play we'll be releasing, mentioned he sometimes doesn't listen to podcasts if they're so heavily reliant on a visual component. So really, you will be able to listen to this without watching the YouTube video, but we'd love it if you jumped over there.
Just adds a little extra to the event.
As soon as you hear that we mention a certain spell and say what tier it is, you're on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I really genuinely don't know how long this is going to go, and only going off of the experience of Ryan and I taking 2 episodes to go through all of the spells, I just want to make sure we have enough time.
Or
So
to think
sorry
that
if
we
you're
can
looking
cover.
forward to us waffling.
Well, sometimes we think we can cover Icewind Dale, in an hour episode, and that turned out to be like
We did think that.
2.5.
All right. Is it time for a transition? I don't know how you want to bring us in
We're over on
there.
it, man.
We're over on it?
Just did it. We're on, baby.
All right. So if you can probably see, we've got S, A, B, C, D, E, F tier.
Mm-hmm.
For each of the spells, hopefully you're able to see them at all. I tried to make it as visible as possible, but there is the spell type in the background along with the spell name in the foreground of each icon for the spell. We'll go in whatever order we want.
I'm thinking
if it's
alphabetical.
sequential.
I think at least to start off, so we have some frame of reference, and then we can kind of, fuck around
right.
from there.
So you want to go with astral projection?
I think astral projection is a great place to start.
Okay. So we are planning on going through every aspect of these spells. Maybe we don't have to read the entirety, but they've all got range, cast time, components that they need, a duration. And for astral projection, Ryan, it's kind of a chonker. But can you boil it down for us at all?
I mean, this is a 9th level spell. So
yes.
Maybe first
These are the
what I
Mac
should
Daddy
say.
boys.
Yeah, for 9th level spells, those of you who don't know, these are the final spell slot. Every class that can cast them, which is not all of them for sure, and it's definitely not even all the spellcasters. Like warlocks can't.
Stop.
On their basic, spell list. But neither can paladins. But the ones that can only get 1 slot. Okay, you can only cast 1 of these spells a day, and
Still sounds like a lot though, considering what they can do.
True. And you only get this around like level 15-ish. So, with that in mind, let's kind of delve into what these spells do, starting with, as Braxton said, the old astral projection spell. If you want to know, what all you can do with these spells, or with this spell particularly, you can go to our Astral Projection 101 episode.
We did do that, didn't we?
Mm-hmm. But, in layman's terms, for the short period we have here, as we did a whole podcast on it, it takes you an hour sitting down. You got to have some time. This is not one you're casting in combat, so that might knock it down a tier. I'm just saying. We should actually say, before we get too deep into it, what is the tier list based on? The best spells, what spells you should take, or our favorite? What do you think?
I feel usefulness is the most important because some nice ninth level spells, however cool they are, they're so not worth that slot that you could pick over something else.
Yes.
But I mean, let's this is going to be a collaborative episode. So in your opinion, do you agree with that, or do you want to go with enjoyment?
No, I'm down with, if we have time, we could make an enjoyment one, but we probably won't. So I'm thinking we should
Utility?
just stick to usefulness. If you just hit level 15, you get a 9th level spell slot. This is going to be the ones that we kind of recommend you to check out.
God.
So,
and if your opinion differs from ours, that is super okay. We would love to hear why you disagree with it.
You're wrong.
No, it doesn't.
As
Please just comment on YouTube or something.
Yeah, Braxton and I will probably be arguing on these anyway, so obviously people have different opinions.
Yes.
Okay, so again, back to astral projection, the necromancy spell. You need
necromancy?
It is. Well, you're going into the land of the dead,
weird.
Man. It's astral, the astral plane.
I mean, I guess. Okay.
Okay, so you need components. You need to be able to speak it. You got to, mainly the material is the most important thing. For each creature that you affect with this spell, you can affect up to 8. Okay, up to 8 you and your comrades. You must have I don't know what that is. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's whatever something.
One jacinth worth of 1,000 gold points.
I don't know what a jacinth is. I'm gonna look it up right now. Probably should have this earlier. It's a transparent variety of zircon. It's a gemstone.
Okay, zircon. Yeah, I've at least heard of that in some.
Yeah, so you need a gemstone worth 1,000 gold pieces per person. Per person.
Damn.
And 1 ornately carved bar of silver worth at least 100 gold pieces. And it consumes it. So you're spending 1,100 gold pieces minimum on every person that you cast this on.
And the effort, subjective effort to, what does it say? Ornately carve a bar of silver. What does that even mean?
True, yeah. It has to be ornate. It can't just be a regular bar of silver.
Well, I mean, let's think about it. At 9th level, you could probably sneeze and somebody would bring you 1,000 gold, right?
Sure.
Or 20th, or whatever level you're at when you get 9th level spells.
You're almost a god at this point. Yeah, you're not wrong. So basically, what this spell does, it's a little bit of a chonker, a couple paragraphs in here, but it turns everybody you cast it on into unconscious bodies, suspended animation, and your person doesn't need food or air and doesn't age for this time. But it does leave you kind of, open for attacks, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
But it puts you into the astral plane. You're now in the astral body, connected to your material plane body, or wherever you cast it, I guess, with a tether. The tether you can't necessarily see at all times, and the only things that can break it are a Gith Yankee sword and a astral dreadnought. And if this thing is broken, you immediately die.
That's great, isn't it?
So,
gotta love that.
What are the benefits of this, Braxton? Why would I want to go to the astral plane?
So this really depends on what kind of campaign you're playing in. This is going to be an F tier spell for you if there is no relevance of traveling through planes, just to be quite frank, other than maybe like get out of jail free card, which at that point you have several other spells in other levels that can do basically the same thing.
True.
So what I want to ask you, Ryan, is do you want to assume that this is a fairly RP heavy campaign we're basing this off of for our tier list?
I mean, let's say for the astral projection spell specifically, the campaign
scenario.
The campaign at least calls for you to go to other planes.
Yeah. So
otherwise, ignore where we put this on the tier list, I guess.
It depends, because let's go with the assumption that your DM has not given you a character that can cast this or a means to do it easily.
Sure.
And if you want to accomplish this super fancy side quest, this is basically a key that you have to have. I don't think outside of needing to go to a different plane that this is a particularly powerful or useful spell, unless your DM plans for it and makes something kind of around it, to be quite honest.
And DMs, if you want to know what you can do in the astral plane, go listen to our Astral Projection 101 spell. Episode. There's lots of really cool stuff. But with that said, Braxton, I'm going to put it in my spot, and you tell me if you want to move it, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
I'm thinking it's probably a C.
I'm sticking with C too. I would say B if it is super needed for your campaign, but overall just a general usefulness is C tier.
Yeah. I'm not going to, so I'm going to compare it to all the other spells that we put up later.
It might move.
Yeah. So this is just what I initially think of astral projection.
It's cool as fuck. Don't get me wrong.
Very cool.
Like enjoyment, I'd be like A tier, probably. But usefulness C tier for sure.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the next is Blade of Disaster.
Yeah, this is a new one. This is in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything.
Yes, a lot shorter, so we can go free and run through all the stuff here. But it is a conjuration spell, as you can tell by the picture behind it. Takes a bonus action to cast, which is amazing, always. Anytime I see that, and it's not something that's simple or stupid, I love using my bonus action for stuff. So that's already points there.
Bonus action,
6 feet of range, only verbal and semantic, so you don't need anything to cast it except for your voice and your hands or emotion or something.
For 9th level spell, that's pretty good.
Yes. Does take concentration, and it's only up to a minute, so that's something to consider.
True.
You're creating a blade-shaped planar rift, badass, about 3 feet long in unoccupied space that you can see. The blade lasts for the duration. When you cast the spell, you can make up to 2 melee attacks. So right here, 1 bonus action is getting you 2 melee attacks, in addition to whatever the hell else you did this turn. It does have to be your only spell you've cast, though, if you want to see spellcasting rules. Each once against a creature, loose object, or a structure within 5 feet, so 5 feet range. On a hit, 4d12. If the attack scores a critical, the number is a 18 or higher, so it's a crit from 18 and up, which is cool. On a crit, it deals another 8d12, so it's not times 2, it's times 150%, which is pretty cool, or 200% damage, whatever that math comes out to.
Yeah.
For a total of 12d12 force damage. As a bonus action on your turn, you can move the blade. It's separate from you, 30 feet to an unoccupied space you can see, and then make up to 2 melee attack spells with it again. It can also harmlessly pass through things like barriers, wall of force, and it can only be used by sorcerers, warlocks, and wizards. So that's a lot of shit there. I do want to say the damage does seem initially lackluster compared to some other 9th level spells, but it stays on the field for a minute.
Yeah, if you're getting 2 attacks per turn plus your
24
normal
d12
action
max if you crit.
Yeah. I could see, this is a wizard spell. I could see the Blade Singer wizard popping this and going to town.
Yeah. That would be sick. So, I mean, for me, on the basis of bonus action, 2 attacks, and it lowers the crit, and you can move it, I think I'm being a little short here in saying B tier. Possibly A.
Interesting. I'll meet you halfway. I'll go on B.
B? Were you saying C?
I was saying D.
Woo! Okay.
I think I shit on this spell whenever we were doing the Tasha's thing. I don't think this is a very strong 9th level spell. I mean,
yes,
it's cool and everything. It does some damage. 2 extra attacks a turn can be strong. I need
more context. I might lower it. I just need to see the other spells.
Yeah, this feels like an 8th or maybe that's too generous.
Let's put it in C. Let's put it in C.
Okay. My arguments have knocked it down. I like that.
Yeah. Braxton, you're loose. You've been convinced.
Without trying to compare it too much to the other spells, I really think I would much rather be popping a Ravenous Void or something else onto the battlefield at this time.
I went into this fairly blind. I've read these all at some point in my DMing life, but I want to see and compare. C might be more apt for it. I would say definitely in front of Astral Projection, though.
You get 1 9th level spell a day. True. If you're using it on this guy, I feel like you're wasting it in combat, personally.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Personally.
Do you want to order them in tiers, or is everything in a tier the same?
How do you mean?
Is Blade of Disaster in front of Astral Projection? Or does that order matter at all?
Sure, we can do that if you want.
I would put Blade of Disaster in front of it.
In front of Astral? Sure.
Yeah.
I'll
the damage can't be scoffed at least.
Yeah, that's true.
That brings us...
Astral Projection is cooler, personally, but...
Agreed. But we do have Foresight now.
That is
Which
true.
is up next. Take us through it.
Yeah, so this is a 1-minute casting time. Again, not something you're using in combat. This is going to be something you're going to want to use probably before combat. It needs, VS and stuff, but you also need a Hummingbird Feather unless you have a spell focus. It is a touch spell, so you're touching somebody and you're allowing them, the person you touch, to see into the immediate future, which means they can't be surprised. They have advantage on all attack rolls, ability checks, and saving throws. They also, or the creatures attacking them, have disadvantage on all attack rolls against this target as they can kind of, see their attacks coming at them, kind of getting the hazy vision as it's coming towards them. And the spell immediately ends if you cast it again. So you can't put it on, 2 people. It is not concentration, which is important to know. And it lasts for a total of 8 hours. Bard, Druid, Warlocks, and Wizards can get this spell.
What are you thinking?
Right off the bat, I'm thinking this is... Okay, so think about it how
I'm thinking.
Braxton can attest to this because he is in a game where this happens. Sorcerer, dual spells, or whatever, twin spells, this onto 2 badass people. They're going in and doing some crazy amount of damage and dip, diving and dodging, not getting a hit. It could come in clutch in some really big, crazy last encounters, maybe.
Yeah. So what I'm looking for is this a spell that does everything for me, or does it rely on me already being good? This is one of those spells where if you do this on somebody who doesn't get much advantage out of having advantage, this just kind of makes you succeed more. Whereas if you already have really high advantage on certain ability checks based off of your scorings already for your abilities, your saving throws are already massive. Sure, there's probably some that you're weaker at. The only significant thing here is the disadvantage on being attacked and disadvantage to attack. And at this point, you probably already have an assload of abilities that do this already. So this is a spell to me that you have to work around a lot to get the most out of it.
But if it's not concentration. All those other spells are definitely all concentration.
It isn't, but I'm honestly saying this is a D tier. I see the use, but it really
Right.
depends on you already being good.
Okay. I'll concede on it being a D tier for now. That might come into contention once we get some more spells on here.
Yes. All right. Ooh, I
Okay.
feel like this is probably wrestling some jimmies right now. That was a risky thing here.
I don't
We do
well, no,
have-
I understand where you're coming from, and I think the buff stuff, which I guess is technically a buff, I think the buff type spells can have a place. But I guess, again, if you're using a 9th level spell slot just for this, maybe you're kind of, wasting in combat.
The fact that it cannot be removed unless it's counterspelled or you use it again is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And Twin Spell, I wonder if it does work that way, but I would concede that it probably is allowable to do, as there are 2 instances. But I'm sticking with D tier. I don't see this being insanely useful because other things are already given this to you. But we have Gate next, which is kind of a chonker as well. It's similar to Astral Projection. So it's a
very similar.
1 action spell with a range of 60 feet with verbal, semantic, and material. So this does have a monetary value. So you can't use it for a spell component or whatever spellcasting focus. It doesn't work with that. You need a diamond worth at least 5,000 gold points.
That's a lot.
Talk to your diamond dealer, get him to give you a bunch of shit, and you can cast a spell. It's concentration for up to 1 minute.
Dude, diamond guys in D&D must be making bank. The
Yeah,
fact
dude,
that
nothing happens without him.
I mean, yeah, Gate is up there. You got all the resurrection spells are up there. I mean, I want to be a gem seller in a D&D world.
So, for Gate, after you've talked to your gym seller, you've got the connections, you're creating a central portal 5 to 20 feet in diameter, however big you want, in whatever direction you want. So the portal has a front and a back end on each plane where it appears.
So it's like another portal in Minecraft.
Yes. So you get to link it to where you are or wherever in another plane of existence. This is something that you just get to pick. Lasts for the duration, so that's 1 minute. Again, it has the front and the back, and you can pass through only the front. So once you get to the other side, you're there. Okay? So you'd have to wait a day to cast it and get back. That's essentially it. It's planar travel. And there's not too much outside of it, right?
Kind of. So if you cast it, you can also speak the name of anything, anybody really. And if they're on a different plane than the one you are on, the portal will open next to them and pull them into where you are.
So it can work reverse.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you're trying to, let's say you signed a terrible contract with the devil, right? Who would do that, right? And you want to meet this devil again, you could just, for lack of a better word, you just say Bathan, and then Bathan, the devil, just comes sucked.
God dang it.
Gets sucked through this gate, and now you are face to face with this devil that screwed you over ages ago.
For context, that is exactly what happened in one of our campaigns that we play personally. So thanks, Ryan. And on that fact, I would say this is incredibly useful for assassinating somebody or at least initiating combat with something like this.
I mean,
I'd either say this is the top of C or B tier.
You could get your druid to plane shift you to another plane and then call King What's-His-Butt to come to through the gates now that you're on another plane, and then you can kill them.
It's expensive to do, but due to the increased accuracy, whereas Astral Projection is based off of just getting there and then traveling through wherever the hell you can get to, this is very specific. I would say this is B tier. It has a lot of utility. You can get wherever the hell you need to go once per day or however often you get to rest. I like
It's
it.
a very powerful teleport spell, I guess. Yeah. It does not consume the diamond. So you can use that diamond for anything else down the line.
Even better. B tier for sure for me.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Hell yeah. This is going pretty easy for us. All right. What's next up?
I don't know if you mentioned it is Cleric, Sorcerer, Warlock, and Wizard.
It is. Yeah. It did not.
Next one is Imprisonment, which
All right.
I did mention when we did our last episode on Abjurations. Actually, I guess it was 2 episodes ago. But I really like this spell. Do you want me to take it away?
Take it away, my friend.
Cool. So this is a big boy spell. It's one of those ones you gotta hit the scroll wheel 1 or 2 times. It casts again for a minute. It seems to be kind of the trend here, besides like 1 or 2 spells that we've covered.
Quite surprising,
so far.
though.
It's cast for a minute, so it's something you cannot necessarily do in combat unless you're being protected for a whole minute or an NPC is protecting it, yada yada, or casting it. So what you need is the V and the S, which is verbal and somatic, and a material. The material is a vellum depiction of a carved statuette in the likeness of the target. Very specific. And you need a special component that varies according to the version of the spell you choose. That's worth at least 500 GP per hit die of the target. So the one issue I do have with the wording of the spell is that means you would then have to somehow find the hit die. I guess you can just decide, all right, I'm just going to say fuck it and just get the most expensive thing here because I don't know how many hit die this guy uses. So let's get into the basic stuff and then we'll cover the types. So basically what you're doing is what the spell says. You're imprisoning a creature you can see within range, which is 30 feet. The target must then succeed on a wisdom save or be bound by the spell. The duration of the spell is until it is dispelled. If you do, if it does save and you want to cast it again, it is immune. So you cannot do it on the same creature
permanently?
Twice. It is immune permanently.
Okay.
Now, once it's affected, it doesn't need to breathe, eat, drink, and doesn't age. Divination spells also cannot perceive or locate this target. So it is now your pet, more or less. So the things that you can do with it, I'm going to make it quick. I don't want to cover every little detail, but the things you can do is you can entomb it deep beneath the ground in a magical sphere. You can chain it with heavy chains. You can create a hedged prison and make it like a maze that it has to run through and walk through.
All flavor, basically.
Yeah, you can shrink it to a tiny little speck and just keep it around on you. Or you can make it fall asleep and never wake up.
Right.
And warlocks and wizards can only use the spell.
Woo! Warlocks, let's go! Oh, man, so excited for that. So, okay. If we're sticking with the trend, the person who's reading it gives their first initial thoughts, go ahead.
Okay. I love this spell, but with that said, I don't necessarily love it as a player. I think this can be a very fun NPC, like this is the big bad creature or big bad some god or, really powerful villain, and the only way to beat it and defeat it is to not kill it, but to imprison it forever. So the party has to protect the NPC for 10 rounds while they cast this spell. That could be a fun final encounter of the campaign. But would I recommend a player to pick up this spell? I don't think so. I don't think it can be useful in very specific circumstances, but odds are you'd rather have a different spell.
That's very true.
It's my 2 cents. You want me to toss it somewhere?
Yeah, and then I'll try to adjust if need be.
S.
You're going high up there. Come on, man.
Personally, because of the strength of what it can do, I'd put it as a C.
I
think in the middle of these two.
That's literally what I was thinking. Because it's got so many restrictions on what you need to do and need to set up, and it can still fail permanently. C tier is where it needs to stick.
And see, the problem is, let's say you're fighting against, let's say this is the big bad. You'd have to know.
Wisdom save.
Yeah.
And
you'd
HP.
have to know that these creatures, I mean, that's kind of using some meta knowledge, but you've probably fought things that are strong and just say, fuck it, I'm going to have my legendary resistance. So you'd have to break through all of the legendary resistances first, and then you can use this spell.
Oh my god, yeah.
Granted, you could just have it say, hey, NPC, start casting it now. Within 10 rounds, we'll have gotten through all of his legendary resistance.
Fun.
But that could be, if you're not there, you got a problem.
This would be one of my top contenders for like a super expensive or very rare spell scroll.
I've definitely considered, and Braxton may in like half a year may say this is exactly what Ryan used for his final encounter. Because I just think it sounds such a cool fight, but
it is. Okay, with that set up now, and there's a little secret there. You might have noticed a cut, but you'll never know what actually happened. You'll never know.
What's next?
Next up, though.
What's next?
What?
What's next?
Next is invulnerability.
Oh, what's that?
And this one, I gotta say, this is one of the most complicated goddamn spells in this entire list.
It's a big paragraph.
Abjuration, one action, self, verbal, semantic.
Only on yourself. That's important.
Only on yourself. Small piece of Adamantine, in a lot of video games, that is the rarest or strongest material, worth at least 500 gold points. Pretty small considering the rest of the stuff we've got, which the spell consumes. Caveat. This big-ass, long-ass paragraph here, for wizards only, you're immune to all damage until the spell ends. Concentration up to 10 minutes.
Wow.
Oh, okay. Straightforward. I like it. That seems pretty damn good to me. I'm not going to lie. Not much discussion here. I think this is genuinely just a B tier spell. You immune to all damage.
Really?
You basically can't die.
Not basically. You cannot die, yeah.
You cannot die. B tier. If this is what
if
you need it for this.
Some spells you don't take damage, but if you have less than 50 HP or something, you immediately die. So I guess you could die to one of those spells.
True. That is true. I still want to say bottom of B tier here. This is just so straightforward. You know what you're getting. I would
put this, first of all.
Don't you dare. Ah, no!
I dropped it in an E. By the way, everybody, I dropped it in an E.
Okay,
so let me talk to you on this one.
All right.
First of all, I think it's stupid. I guess, no, never mind. So my issue with this spell is it is only on self.
That's true.
And it's wizards only. So these guys, unless I guess you're the new fancy Blade Singer class, you're probably already really far away from combat. You're the ones that need to not get hit are the guys on the front lines. Okay?
Right.
So I feel like you'd rather be casting some big boy damagey spells than to protect yourself. If this was a reaction, maybe you saw the big bad wizard is flying up in the air and just cast like Meteor Storm on your ass, then you got to quickly, protect yourself. It's like a shield spell, but it's not. It's a concentration. It's a concentration for 10 minutes.
Ooh.
I'd rather be casting something else with my concentration spells.
That is a very good point. Okay, on the fact that there are other spells that can protect you at a lower spell level, not as effectively, but if you read the situation as effectively, basically, you can't concentrate on anything else unless you're a special sort of sorcerer or wizard or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. If you're a wizard, this is probably not your 9th level spell that you want. Bottom of... No. If you're okay putting bottom of D, yes. If not, I'm okay with E.
We'll keep it there for now. If we realize it was some stinkers, we can move it up.
he thought for a little bit. Not F.
I think it's deceptively powerful.
Off the bat, it does seem deceptively powerful.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Mass heal.
Okay. All right.
This is a 9th level evocation slot. Uses an action, so you can toss out in combat. Range is 60 feet. It's instantaneous. It just happens. No materials.
Oh, wow.
Only for clerics. Only for clerics. So you can imagine what this does. You might need to whip out your calculators, friends, because you can deal out 700 hit points, divided as you choose between any number of creatures that you see within your range.
Just the boss. Just be Goku. Give him a senzu bean.
I don't know if that's a good idea to give it to the boss.
Hey, it makes for good TV.
But this is, very quickly to, bring your party back up to snuff. You want to use this near the end of a long combat, so you pop them back up to health, keep them kicking ass. It is important to say they are cured of all diseases and any effect that makes them blind or deafened.
All right. What do you think?
I am initially thinking it's a low B tier.
I'm willing to agree with that because if you're a cleric who's specifically focused on healing and you're not taking this,
right?
Like this is an instant save everybody. If you're managing your team, I'll agree with that.
You could argue, as a cleric to toss in a true resurrection. We'll talk about that more later. But odds are you have other resurrection spells in your back pocket ready to go.
True. Something I want to concede here too, to compare it with the invulnerability spell, damage prevention is very similar to damage healing. Now, while invulnerability has an infinite range of how much damage it can take,
true,
it does need concentration and it's time limited. This spell is guaranteed to be useful when you need it, when you use it, and is instantaneous with no components. I think that's why I agree with Ryan putting it in B tier.
I just want to point out, for viewers at home, you may have already noticed this. Braxton is the one that created this tier list. So I'm going to toss one to the bus real fast. There are 2 Ravenous Voids here.
No!
Did you miss a spell? I guess we'll find out if you missed one or if you just put it in twice.
I probably put it in twice. No, I think I probably missed a spell. I'm sorry. It's okay. It's fine. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But thankfully, Ravenous Void is not next. We do have Mass Polymorph next.
Yeah, Mass
This one scares me.
Really?
If it's on an enemy, dude, I don't want this shit.
Okay.
So,
I'm what it does.
Transmutation as a polymorph tends to be 120 feet, 1 action, verbal, semantic, material, a caterpillar cocoon. Easy enough to go to the forest one day, farm a ton of these little shits. It is concentration for 1 hour. Let's keep that in mind.
Yeah.
So you can transform up to 10 creatures that you can see within range. Of course, the same things that go with polymorph, like needing to succeed on a wisdom saving throw to resist, etc. Of course, shapeshifters. There's a bunch of different things that go into play here. You get to pick a beast form of your choice for each target. You choose the same form or different ones for each. So you've got variety. There has to be a beast, though. The new form can be any beast you have seen whose challenge rating is equal to or less than the target's, or half the target's if the target doesn't have a challenge rating, half the target's level if it doesn't have a challenge rating. Same statistics, etc., blah, blah, blah. Everybody gains a temporary hit points equal to the hit points of its new form, so you just smack those on as temporary HP. When those are gone, they can't be replaced. Of course, the target reverts to its normal form. Creature is limited in its actions it can perform by the nature of its new form, so everything is restricted that way as well. It can't speak, cast spells, or do anything else that requires hands or speech. So it's restrictive, just like regular polymorph is.
Yeah.
So the target's gear also melds into the new form, so they can't use that either. Targets can't activate, use, wield, or blah, blah, blah. Same thing as polymorph. Polymorph a ton of people, restrictive into beasts only. I'm not sure if polymorph has that in general. Do you know if it does, Ryan?
Just a regular old polymorph spell?
Does regular old polymorph say that you can only transform into a beast? Okay, so it's relevant in that way. I wouldn't give it any, marks down because of that. This can be pretty, I'd say, clutch in certain situations. If you know that you can beat the enemy in a wisdom save, you can turn them into pretty damn weak beasts. Now, you can't just kill them because of the way polymorph works. You do have to hit all that HP down and then they turn to regular thing. But if you want to transport them, move them somewhere, this is a great way to habilitate or
hold them
at
for
least
a little
get
bit.
some breathing room for a little bit, or turn all of you into flying birds that can go pretty fast for an hour. It's got a lot of utility here, but I'm still feeling like this is low B tier.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
I'd say it's either low B or high C.
I agree. You can put it wherever you want. I'll be fine with either. Yeah. He just put it into high C for everybody that's listening audio version. I agree. There's a lot of stuff you can do with this, but ultimately it's still just a polymorph spell that you've used multiple times.
Yeah, it's nothing too crazy. And odds are you're probably going to just be turning the enemy and his friends into, chickens or something, so you can easily dispatch someone who's saved.
There's some room to be really creative here. Like you could turn them all into chickens, put them in a really small space so that when they polymorph out after that hour, they just get crushed.
Sure.
So there's some creative stuff, but I still feel C compared to everything else. All right. This one's cooler.
Yeah, this is the one you missed, by the way.
Yeah.
This is one of the Ravenous Voids.
One of the Ravenous Voids on YouTube. Thank you, please. I appreciate your cognizance and attention paying. One of these is going to be Meteor Swarm, which Ryan will tell us about.
Have this one. Okay, so this is a 9th level evocation. It is 1 action with a range of 1 mile. And it just happens. So,
Is that for you, Ross?
Yes, this is the Chicken Little type spell where the sky is falling upon you.
Right.
Each creature in a 40-foot radius sphere. You could be on top of some big-ass tower. Yeah, just pointing your finger down. This is like some, I don't know, Lord of the Rings shit where you're just like pointing and things are dying from far away. Each create a 40-foot radius sphere centered on each point you choose. You get 4 of these, by the way. 4 of these 40-foot radius spheres.
Meteors.
Meteors. Make a dexterity saving throw. The sphere spreads around quarters. Sure, whatever. Fire. Each creature, if they save... if they don't save, take 20d6 fire damage. 20d6 bludgeoning damage, and half if they save. And if they are in the area of more than one fire burst, they are only affected once, which I think is kind of odd, but I guess that's...
I was going to ask that, yeah.
Tossing them on top of each other, sure. And only sorcerers and wizards can utilize this meteor swarm. You could be doing this in combat, but shit, 40-foot radius sphere, 4 of them, you're probably hitting your friends. And if you're not, you're probably only hitting the creature with one of these. Yes. So I doubt the combat extends much more than a 40-foot radius sphere.
What do you think?
I'm going to drop it into low D tier.
I kind of want to agree with you because max, you're doing 120 damage with this. And at 9th level, the only people this is going to be good on is if you're playing an evil campaign or there's an entire evil civilization of people and you, for lack of better words, you want to nuke the citizens. It's a power move. It's not to insta-kill anybody. It's good in that way. The amount of campaigns that give you that opportunity are very slim. Like, yeah, maybe if you want to wipe out an entire goblin colony, you probably could. But I still, again, do agree with you, like low D tier. But wiping out 4 colonies of people at once, also pretty damn cool. It feels cool.
Pretty evil.
But it's still D tier. Maybe as a villain. I put on my villain just to destroy some shit, you know?
Real quick. What if you guys are looking at this, what are we doing? These are the 9th level spells. We have yet to hit an S or an A.
These guys are gimmicky, man.
What are we waiting for? We got to find something and toss it in there.
All right. Well, next up, we've got one of the first power words. Power word heal. 1 action touch. Verbal semantic. Instantaneous. Wow, that's fast. I like it so far. A wave of healing energy washes over the creature you touch. 1 creature. Target gains all its hit points back. If the creature is charmed, frightened, paralyzed, or stuns, that ends. If the creature is prone, it can use its reaction to stand up. Well, spell has no effect on undeads or constructs, and it is a bar to cleric. This is directly useful compared to if you're doing it on a tank or not, to be quite honest. Yeah, this is our first F tier. I'm going to agree with Ryan there.
Oh my God, he agrees. Yeah, I tossed it in F tier pretty quick.
Yeah, he snuck it in there. Like, with these heal all spells, it's like you probably have a spell that can already heal somebody all the way up.
Yeah, I'd personally, granted, you could say this could, in theory, do more on a single target than a mass heal spell would, but I would much rather mass heal everybody, some, maybe hit the bard or hit the barbarian the most, but give the wizard who's been hit once or twice some of that healing as well, then just heal up 1 dude. Yeah. And if someone is charmed or paralyzed or stunned, I could just hit him with one of these other spells I already got sitting in my back pocket. So,
matter of the fact is, this is an entire 9th level spell that can do what a really, really strong potion could do or another spell could do.
Yeah. So basically, just be a witcher, come prepared with your potions ready.
I love how Ryan said, man, we need some S, we need some A tiers. We're going in F. We're going in F right away.
Well, but next power word, man. This is one of the ones I was talking about that invulnerability would not protect you from. Power word kill. It's a 9th level enchantment because you're basically just forcing a creature to die.
Yeah.
If they have less
evocation, by the way.
Yeah, there's no save, nothing. If you have a less than 100 hit points, your brain and your organs just shut off. Unfortunately, fortunately, I should say, you can be resurrected. This is not like a disintegration type spell. You can be brought back. I realize as I'm saying this, it's making it seem like I don't want a player to pick the spell, and I think I'm correct. I think this is more of an NPC villain type, just badass, point at someone and they die kind of spell instead of a player picking this. And it's Bard, Sorcerer, Warlock,
DM,
Wizard.
or just like or as Ryan from the Dungeon Crawl?
That's a DM. I'd rather have I personally don't like power words too much. I would much rather this be like a disintegration spell. We talked about this last episode. I like disintegration. as a concept because it's kind of like a, oh my god, did that kill me? If I did, I am dead forever, basically, unless someone has a wish spell or true resurrection. This is, if an NPC hits you with this, it's not fun, but it could, just mess with combat, I guess. I don't know.
So if I were to think about picking this, it would be, I'm a warlock. I only get 1 9th level from my Arcanum. Yep. If this was it, I would be kind of okay with it. But the fact it's not Disintegrate makes me a little upset. For those reasons that you've mentioned. Now, if you
that's less important for against an NPC though.
Yes, that's true. So, like Imprisonment, if you've set up the fight, you've got everything going okay, and you know they're under 100 HP, which some spells could maybe tell you that. I think it'd be good, but probably like D or high D, maybe.
Let's say you are a player, okay?
Yeah.
I've said already as a DM, I don't like this spell from like a fun perspective. Would you have fun casting this on an NPC?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you think? High D? All right. Middle D?
Middle D.
Think Foresight's a little stronger?
Yeah.
By the way, kids at home, this one sitting in D tier is not Ravenous Void. It
is, what's it called?
Meteor Swarm.
Yeah, that one.
So for those that are audio only, I'm going to give you a quick rundown now that we're, I'd say, probably about halfway through this.
We'll just make this a long episode, honestly.
Yeah, might as well. B, currently we have Gate and Mass Heal. Those are 2 B spells. Then we got C, which is our Chonky Area, Mass Polymorph, Blade of Disaster, Imprisonment, and Astral Projection. D, we're sitting with Foresight, then Power Word Kill, and Meteor Swarm. E, we got Invulnerability, and finally the F tier, Power Word Heal.
I want to say, can you put Meteor Swarm above Power Word Kill?
Okay.
It just has more uses than Power Word Kill.
I would agree.
Way more. All right. Oh,
one of my favorites.
Like, yeah. Prismatic Wall. This is a
cool,
big ass chonky boy. Oh my lord. I want to ask you right now. We may break the rhythm. Do you have a good understanding of what this spell does?
Yeah.
Can you go with it? There's a lot here.
Yeah, I'll make it quick because there's a lot.
Thank you.
There are a bunch of different colors. It is prismatic. We talked about this last episode as well, or maybe 2 episodes ago. I don't know. Whichever one had Abjuration. Go find the Abjuration one and talk about that one. Probably the first one because I think it was alphabetical order. So Abjuration's 9th level. You can use 1 action and it gets cast. Range is 60 feet. Lasts for a full 10 minutes. So you create a 90-foot long, 30-foot high, and 1 inch thick wall, more or less. The wall is bright with many colors, yada yada. Basically, the wall is split up by colors. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different colors, making this prismatic color. And to get from one point of the wall to the other, you would have to pass through all of these colors. You make a Constitution saving throw for each color you encounter. Some do lots of damage. Some, make you paralyzed or blinded, restrained. Some of these, the first 5 are all damaged. The last 2 are then restrained and then blinded. So you're basically using this as you could protect the caster that's casting Imprisonment for 10 rounds. This is the I'm trying to get out of here spell. I'm trying to protect somebody spell. I don't want that guy to cross over here. And if he does, hopefully he takes a shitload of damage or gets, restrained. Something. You're hoping he gets hit by one of those. Ultimately, I would put this personally. Boom, A tier.
So not only is this 50 D6 of damage if they can get through the first 5 layers. The only way to destroy the layers are to match elements that are contradictory or do a certain effect like that. And if they somehow get through there, there's very specific ways to stop them. Because of how useful this is, I'm definitely going to agree that A tier is a good place for this to belong. We're disagreeing a lot less than I thought we would.
And I will correct myself. I said con save is a deck save for each one you pass through.
Yeah. So it can miss, and it's for bards and wizards only, but for how wide of a use case this has for players.
For all 5 to fail? Or 7? No, is it 5? 7.
Players find themselves in situations they need to escape a lot.
Yeah, for all 7 to fail would be very rare. You're at least going to get hit with probably 1 or 2 of these.
1 action, 60 feet, verbal semantic, 10 minutes. Yeah.
Hopefully you have your DC pretty high. And I love this as a DM. You know, something that I could, if my villain wants a little bit extra time to teleport out, or
that could be a fun puzzle.
Yeah, to teleport out, or to just to grab something inside a temple. They toss this up and then run in, so the players either have to figure out how to puzzle through it, or say, you know what?
Toss your Roy G. Biv up, man. Can't get through that shit.
I don't know what to do.
And the barbarian just charges through it, and could be fun.
Yeah. And it would look super cool. You could toss some awesome music on there. It's a little puzzle, and it's just a spell. Lots of little preparation. There's so much you can do with this. All right.
That's the A tier,
So
baby.
something I was super excited to learn about, with anything that says Psychic, Far Realm, anything like that, we got Psychic Scream.
Yeah.
This is an enchantment spell, which Ryan's talked about. This is probably more sinister than Necromancy, to be quite honest.
I think so.
1 action, 90 feet, semantic only, instantaneous. You are unleashing the power of your strong old brain to blast the intellect of up to 10 creatures of your choice within range. Those creatures, if they have, just like with other psychic spells, a score of intelligence 2 or lower, they're unaffected. Not a lot of creatures that will have that at this point. Each target must make an intelligence saving throw, of which some creatures are weak to, probably not your big bad evil guy. On a failed save, they take 14d6 and they're stunned. On a successful save, the target takes half as much and is not stunned. If the target's killed, the damage causes its head to explode, if it has one. A stunned target can make an intelligence saving throw at the end of each of its turns. On a successful save, the stunning effect ends. I don't like this one at all.
Where you putting it?
Probably like E, low E. This does no damage at this level.
Yeah.
Basically no damage and stunned. That's very easy to get out of.
Yeah. And the odds are whatever you're fighting probably has a legendary resistance, or God forbid you have another spell that can just stun people anyway. Why not just use that one?
If that E tier, what do you think?
I'd toss it in F personally.
Yeah, let's put it in F.
I'd put it above Powered Heal though, yes.
Yeah.
Because at least it's doing something.
I'm amazed at how weak this spell is. It's got things that can't even be affected by it, an effect that's easy to get out of, and damage that was not going to kill something unless they're right there already.
And let's say, you pick this spell, you hit it with somebody, all their legendary resistances are gone, or they never had one, and the save fails. Next turn, they're just going to save again. And boom, your 9th level spell is ruined.
Yeah.
Why not just use a hold monster, hold person type ability? Get the exact same effect for half the cost.
Bard, Sorcerer, Warlock, Wizard, this probably isn't the one for you. Let's move on.
Yeah. This could be a fun scroll, maybe. I don't know.
It could be. If you're using it on small fries, it's probably pretty okay.
Yeah.
But you're probably not doing that unless you're just a big, strong, godlike guy, girl, gal, whatever you are in D&D. It's not this spell.
Yeah.
No. All right. Go ahead.
So this is Ravenous Void. This one's next. This is a new spell from Wildmount.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, so you can thank either Matt Mercer or one of his comrades that created this spell. It is 9th level evocation, dunamancy, graviturgy stuff. Casting time 1 action, range of 1,000 feet. All you need is to speak and to move, and a small 9-pointed star made of iron. Or if you have a spellcasting focus, you don't need to. So you could create a 20-foot radius sphere of destructive gravitational force. Centered on a point you can see within range. This lasts for up to a minute, and it is concentration. When the sphere appears at the start of your turn, any unsecured objects within 100 feet of the sphere are pulled inwards towards it, ending within the space of this, void as closely as possible to the center. And if a creature, this is the important part, if a creature starts its turn within 100 feet of this sphere, they must succeed on a strength saving throw or be pulled straight toward the sphere center ending in an unoccupied place that's close to yada yada. A creature that enters the sphere for the first time, it takes 5d10 force damage with restraint. So they're basically stuck within this, radius for a time being. If it's in the air, they're pulled into it and they, must break a strength saving throw. Basically, this is almost like an AoE restrained spell. Does some damage, and if they're annihilated, then bad things happen.
What do you think?
Personally, I'd probably put it in a D area, maybe E.
I feel like it has so many uses, and the things I'm coming up right now is you put it a certain amount of feet in the air to capitalize on when the 1 minute's up, you drop a bunch of people. If you're trying to attack a large colony of smaller creatures or something like that, it's really useful, and it's very similar to Meteor Storm in the fact that it can AoE wreck a lot of people.
Yeah, it is.
If you're needing to restrain some stuff, yeah, it's. I don't want to just go off of does it kill thing. No, it's bad, because I feel like that's a lot what we're doing here. But is it more useful than Meteor Storm, which is currently mid D tier?
I'm thinking about it in the sense of this is a spell I can cast in combat. Would I want to? I don't think so.
No. It would be one of those situations where you're like, okay, DM, I need to position this perfectly to where the radius just like cups off the people we're fighting, and that's.
And I think, do I want to cast this outside of combat? Not really. E.
If you want to destroy a city, but at that point, just get Meteor Storm.
Well, I mean, I guess the cool thing is you could, in theory, toss it in the air, and then once the spell ends, they fall at the very least and take some more damage. But man, I'd rather be using something else.
Wizards, this is only for you. It's probably not the spell you want. I'm going to agree and say that Ravenous Void is top of E tier, probably.
All right. Cool. Moving on.
Shape Change!
Shape Change, baby.
Okay, there's a lot here.
Yeah.
There's so much here, so help me out here. But first, it's Transmutation. One action, Self. Verbal Semantic, Material, can't be replaced. A Jade Circlet worth at least 1,500 gold points, which you must place on your head before you cast this spell. Concentration 1 hour. You're now assuming the form of a different creature for the duration.
Yeah, you can think of it like a polymorph spell, just not with beasts. You could become a beholder for the time being.
What? Can warlocks do this? Oh boy!
You're turning yourself into a different creature. It has to be with a challenge rating equal or lower to your level. So if you're 15, it has to be with a CR rating 15 or lower, which are a lot. You
retain all of your benefits from your class and your race before as well. It's basically polymorph without the restrictions.
Yeah.
I love this.
Where are you putting them?
I'm not gonna lie. High B tier. Top.
Really?
Top of B. Top of B. Yeah. It's not a damage spell, but you could convince me otherwise. I'm not tied to this, but the utility for being able to basically do what a Rakshasa can is so useful in so many RP situations. And even if you're going up against an enemy, you can sneak in there. You've only got an hour. Maybe low B. Maybe low B.
I personally, we could probably, kind of come to a middle ground here. I would put it in an S. I'd put it as our first S tier. Why, you might ask, Braxton? Because I will answer you. The options are limitless.
Endless, yeah.
You can, if you need to fly and kill things, Beholder. If you need to do this and that, you can change into that. I mean, you can.
I'm not gonna lie, Ryan. This is probably what Carrion's gonna pick for his 9th level spell.
Now, so the important thing is that the player that's picking Shape Change will have to have some knowledge of the monster manual. They'll have to know what creatures they can turn into, and if you're a druid, you probably already know a lot of these things because you're already kind of looking up the beasts and stuff. But then you can just unclick the beast filter, and now you have so many other options.
So I want to say I probably did something I wasn't supposed to do, Ryan. Okay, I have to admit something. I gave this lower because I felt like you probably wouldn't like it and some other people wouldn't like it. So I was trying to guess where our average would be. I thought you would probably give it like a C tier. I am more than okay putting it in S tier. Now, I won't be doing this anymore. I'll say that I am wrong in the fact that I did that. I'm agreeing. S for Shape Change is S tier.
I mean, because you get all of their abilities. You can do all that fun stuff. You don't have any legendary actions, but you don't need those.
I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, our first S.
It is concentration, though. It is concentration, so every hit you take, you have to make a con.
But as a warlock, it's okay. I only have concentration spells. Though it is my Mystic Arcanum, so it's a bit different at that point.
Just turn yourself into a thing that has a high concentration.
What better way to worship your patron than to become your patron if they're a CR that's equivalent or less than what you can do?
Odds are they aren't.
Probably not.
A pretty weak-ass patron if you're asking me.
That's true. I like it a lot. All right,
First
what do we got next?
S-tier spell, dude. Can you believe it?
Ooh, that's hype, man. I'm surprised Prismatic Wall and Shape Changer there. I'm excited though because the other ones are they don't give me what I want, man.
It's okay.
They don't do it.
Well, maybe this one will. Probably not. But you have Storm of Vengeance. This is a action. You can cast whenever you feel fit, as long as you have an action left. The range is as far as you can see.
All right.
Period. As long as you can see it,
what's
you can
the true
cast it.
limit of sight? Visibility? What if there's I mean,
if it's being blocked by a cloud,
clear day.
If it's foggy, you can't cast it on something that was in distance. Yeah, a completely clear day. You see that mountain that's 5 billion miles away for whatever reason. Maybe your fantasy world allows that.
The
you
moon?
can cast it there. Sure. You probably don't.
Some Portal 2 reference in there.
You probably don't want to, but you could.
What if there's a monster on the moon?
There's
Fuck
a man
the
over there.
tides. We don't need those regulated.
So, it is concentration up to a minute. No material components. Wherever you point your ability, your spell, a churning storm cloud begins to form. Centered on the point you see, up to a radius of 360 feet, so pretty far. There's lightning, there's lots of scary stuff. Each creature underneath the cloud must make a con save. If they fail it, they take 2d6 thunder damage and become deafened for 5 minutes. Each round that you have the spell going, which meaning you're maintaining your concentration, there are some more fun, juicy effects. Round 2, there's acid rounds. Things start taking acid damage. Round 3, there are lightning bolts that start striking people for 10d6 damage. Round 4, hailstones are falling down on people taking 2d6 damage. And rounds 5 through 10, they kind of got sick of making new abilities. Like, fuck it, let's just do 5 to 10, all's the same. These have, everything becomes difficult terrain. It's heavily obscured. Things are taking 1d6 cold damage. You cannot use ranged weapons for these 5 rounds. Wind and range kind of is a sphere distraction, meaning it's hard to concentrate on things. And there are some strong winds that kind of disperse fogs, mists, and other similar phenomena. So basically, you probably want to get this to these later rounds if you're casting this in a combat area.
You go ahead. It's your time.
I would say just because there's a high chance that you're probably not going to make it to, round 3, maybe even the round 4, I'd probably put it low C tier.
So a lot of these spells have situations where they're not useful always, right?
Yes.
Now imagine you're in a campaign where war is very prevalent and you are at the helm or near the helm of an army.
Yeah.
You can cast this over somebody that's trying to invade your town and they just can't use weapons and you just hail them down or do whatever the hell. I think it's really useful in that situation. So I think over astral projection and imprisonment, I'd probably put it right there behind Blade of Disaster. No, I put it ahead of Blade of Disaster. Now, I want to contradict myself and talk about the Storm one with the meteors.
Yeah.
These are very similar. Now, think me through this just to make sure I curb myself in case I'm putting this too high. How do you feel about those two in comparison?
You mean moving it down to D?
Yeah, just kind of thinking about it because they do similar things. This one's just more flavorful, right?
I'd say the benefit to Storm of Vengeance is really the 5 to 10 round, being that concentration spells are now broken. You cannot use range spells within here. The problem is the radius of this spell, as it is a radius of 360 feet. And it doesn't say up to a radius of 360 feet. So going around with the word lawyer stuff, that is the radius all the time, 360 feet. So this is not something you probably want to cast while you guys are currently fighting within combat.
That's correct. It's a preemptive spell for sure. It's something to turn the tide of battle.
Reconsidering that, dropping it to E.
Damn. Yeah.
Well, because I'm thinking about it, usefulness-wise, sure, you could cast it at an invading army. Yeah, they'll walk out of it, continue doing their stuff. You know, I mean,
you could probably just kill them with Meteor Storm. Yeah. Let's bottom it here. Me. I'm sad because it's cool. It's got a lot of flavor. As a big bad evil guy or something like that, using this to piss off your players, the town they're trying to protect. Yes.
This would be super fun to use like a puzzle spell against your party to make you know combat a little more interesting. So
again, this tier list now for sure is usefulness as a player.
Yes.
This is not one of those spells.
I'd definitely rework it if it was fun as a DM, what I want my villains to have.
Entirely different. Shape change would still probably be S tier if they weren't somebody who could already do that. Okay. Time Ravage, which is necromancy. Quite interesting. It's also one action. Mount? Yes, also from Wildmount. These tend to be pretty spicy. 90 feet, verbal semantic. Material with an hourglass filled with diamond dust. Also worth with at least 5,000 gold points, of which you also need to replace.
Always diamonds?
Always diamonds. I believe there's another spell that was a whole diamond worth 5,000 gold points. Quite interesting. Instantaneous, though. As soon as you use that diamond dust, poof, it's gone. This spell effect takes its place. You target a creature which you can see within range, putting its physical form through the devastation of rapid aging. The target must make a con save.
Wait, hold on.
So hopefully, yeah.
Can you repeat those words again?
Putting its physical form through the devastation of rapid aging.
Whoa.
Yeah. One of those things that you feel like as a person in our normal world, if that happened to me, that would really suck if I didn't just die outright. The target must make a con save, taking 10d12 necrotic, so again, 120 possible damage if you do maximum on a failed save, or half as much on a successful. If the save fails, they also age to the point where it only has 30 days left before it dies of old age.
So really, the spell succeeds no matter what.
They're going to die unless they can reverse the aging with like a wish spell or something, which it does say. In this age state, the target has disadvantage on attack rolls, ability checks, and saving throws. Its walking speed is halved. Only the wish spell or a greater restoration spell cast with a 9th level spell slot can end these effects and restore the target to its previous age, wizards only. I feel like it's an A tier, man.
Which side?
Left side. So before Prismatic Wall. How do you feel about it?
I would personally, I think, man, I think I would toss this as an S, just for the simple fact that even if it fails, so you don't do that damage,
it's very true.
You're still in the middle of combat. They now have disadvantage on all attack rolls, all ability checks, and all saving throws, and their walking speed is halved. That's 4 big things. That is not a concentration ability. That is not, something they're saving from every round. That's just how they are now for 30 days. Unless someone casts Greater Restoration upon them.
I'll agree if we talk through this 1 or 2 points here.
Okay.
What are the chances that the thing you're casting it on has Greater Restoration or an underling that can do so?
I'd say
within 30 days, if you don't kill it
within
outright.
30 days, I would say a big bad guy that your cast is on could probably heal it. But if you're fighting them like currently, it could be tough.
Yeah. Over every other damaging spell, over every other utility debilitation spell.
Sure.
I'd say this is by far the best.
Yeah. Do you want to put a pin in this one and come back into
I want to keep it on an A for now.
Okay.
I'll keep it an A for now.
Come back to that one.
All right. We're getting there. Okay. Another one that we've kind of already talked about. Ryan, go ahead.
Time stop.
Time stop.
You can just take all the timey-wimey spells and say, these are probably some pretty cool abilities. So time stop is a single action, and you would be wrong to guess this came from Wild Mount. This is in fact
Right. I thought I was looking for it.
That's in fact not the case. This is a player's handbook spell, so it's been there from day one. It's 9th level transmutation. You cast it on yourself only. That is it. And when you cast it, you briefly stop the flow of time for everyone but yourself. So this is, you get to have fun. No one else gets to, for 1d4 plus 1 turns. You can use as many actions. You can move, do whatever you want during these 1d4 plus 1 turns. So you're at least going to get 2 out of this. That's pretty strong. If the spell ends, if one of the actions you use during this period or affects another creature or object being worn by somebody else. In addition, the spell also ends if you move to some places 1,000 feet away from where you cast it. Only available for sorcerers or a wizard. I am going to go ahead and take this big boy time stop ability and toss it into the bottom half.
I would vehemently disagree with you if it weren't for that second paragraph.
Oh, yeah.
Why is a time... Like, I get it. You got to balance it somehow. But why are you not going to make a time stop spell do what every other time stop thing does in the world, where you get to whack a guy 4 times in a row, or however many things you could do in those 1d4 plus 1 turns? Why is that not what you can do? If that was the case, I'd put it in like B tier, but it's not.
So what do? I guess get out of there and leave all your friends?
You heal yourself a shitload or buff yourself a lot. But the reason I still don't think that's good is because you're only a sorcerer.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a sorcerer and a wizard. If this was a class that could use melee weapons successfully or be more aggressive, yeah.
You could say, yeah, I'll buff all my friends. Oh, wait.
As soon as they do it.
It affects them, so it ends.
Yeah.
I could say this could be fun as a DM. You have the villain cast this, and then you just say the players all watch the guy vanish and all of his items have moved locations or something. Like he just did everything you want to do and then got out of dodge.
1 turn is like 6 seconds, right?
Yes.
So a maximum of 1 plus 1d4, 6 seconds. Whatever you can do in that, you can run away or whatever the hell.
Yeah, 50
You're
seconds?
better off just using some sort of teleport spell if you're trying to run around and move around or whatever the hell you want to do.
30 seconds max.
30 seconds max to do something. And the second you affect anything that's not you, it ends. You're basically wasting a turn to end a spell slot.
You could, as a player or as a villain, you could in theory use this as a just give me a minute kind of spell. You cast this and then you cast a teleport spell or something to get everybody out. But why not just cast a teleport spell? I don't know.
There's very few spells that, if you manage to miraculously roll max amount of time on this, can complete in 30 seconds to get you out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah, F tier. Okay. Made me sad.
Cool as a villain maybe, but that's about it.
All right. So, next up we got another polymorph spell, which is also a transmutation thing for 1 action, 30 feet, verbal semantic material with a drop of mercury, a dollop of gum arabic, and a wisp of smoke. Or you could just use your spell focus, spellcasting focus, concentration up to 1 hour. You point at a thing, you yourself, and you transform it into a different creature, or an object, or the object into a creature.
So it's kind of like a shape change?
Kind of like a shape change. The object must neither be worn nor carried by another creature if that's the case. The transformation lasts for the duration, of course. HP, blah, blah, blah. You know the shtick for polymorph. Shape changers also can't be affected by it. Also, the wisdom save throw thing is effect for unwilling creatures. Otherwise, it's unaffected if they manage to save. Turning a creature into a creature, you can turn the creature into another kind of creature. The new form can be any kind, any you choose, whose challenge rating is equal to or less the target, or its level, if it doesn't have a challenge rating. Similar stuff.
Do you know how
it just doesn't have that restriction.
You know how we can cliff notes this?
Yeah.
If you last for the whole concentration for an hour, it is permanent.
I'm sorry, what?
If you last for the whole hour of concentrating this spell, it is permanent. So that's the strength of this spell.
I'm sorry.
If you
those
can
of you that
keep,
didn't see me on the screen, I was
if you can
shrinking
keep
in my
the
chair.
villain polymorphed into a chicken for an hour. Granted, that's a long time and a lot of saves. But you could, in theory, keep them a chicken forever.
There's so many things you could do to like knock them out as a chicken and not let them do saves.
Not even as a villain thing. You could create your own army. You can turn a bunch of objects into creatures. Granted, you have to somehow make them friendly to you, but you just do it over and over again.
Take
and
many days, yeah.
Yeah, and eventually you have lots of things that you've now turned a bunch of broomsticks into giant scary. Granted, I guess, the challenge rate has to be 9 or lower, but you know what I'm saying. There are strong uses of this spell, is what I'm trying to say. Braxton, where you put it?
I want to say you're going to say S tier, but I'm sticking with it. The top of A, because that hour is a long time.
I'd put it either top B or bottom A.
Really?
Yeah. So the uses there are a lot of them, but the possibility of it getting to the full hour could be a problem.
All right, so the big contingents, I want to keep Time Ravage at that top A slot.
For sure. I'm agreeing on that.
So Prismatic Wall versus True Polymorph here. Yeah, Prismatic Wall is more useful immediately.
Okay. Now you think it's stronger than a gate?
Yes.
Or a mass heal?
Man, there's a big gap between A and B.
There actually is, yeah.
There's a big gap between A and B. Wow.
I almost feel like I like mass heal more than gate now.
I don't know about that one.
We'll put a pin in that.
I don't know about that one. Okay.
True Resurrection, baby.
Straightforward, yeah.
Yeah, it's a 1 hour casting time, so as you're casting it after the fact of someone's death. It is a 9th level necromancy, only for clerics and druids. You need a little bit of holy water and diamonds. Crazy, you know. Worth at least 25,000. The reason of this is because this spell can fix a lot of the other spells that cannot be resurrected by anything else. This is a very strong resurrection spell. If the creature's soul is free and willing, the creature is restored to life. If they've been dead for no longer, than 200 years, did not die of old age. It closes all wounds, ends any poisons, yada, yada, yada. It can provide a new body if the original doesn't exist. So disintegration can be fixed from this. You just have to know the creature's name. Pretty strong, yeah?
Yeah.
I'd put it in a high low B or high C.
Really? You don't want to get it past gate or mass heal?
The problem with it is A, it's so expensive, and B, it is very situational. Odds are you'd probably never cast this spell in a campaign, and if you have, it's because you have encountered a disintegration kind of guy. Most times you're resurrecting somebody will be with one of the other ones.
But this can bring anybody back.
Yeah. So can
anybody.
So can the other ones.
Can they? From like an unlimited amount of time?
Yeah. Why not?
Really?
Yeah.
I hear you typing. I need this to be confirmed.
I'm making sure.
I need this to be confirmed for me to make my final decision, because this is like end story. This is my character's goal to be able to do this.
Let me check.
If I have somebody who's dead.
The other strong one is Resurrection. Let me double check the wording on it. Yeah. Okay.
There's
so
gotta
here,
be a limit.
Resurrection is remember what we just said about 200 years?
Yeah.
This one is dead for no more than a century. So this one's even longer.
Okay, yeah, you can put it wherever you want.
The benefit to this one is, though, they have no downside to being resurrected. Like, for other spells, you have to take a minus D4 for some things, resurrection, sickness, specifically for the resurrection spell I'm referring to. And it can, give you a body if you don't have one anymore.
I just love the story implications of this.
I know. If you're casting a spell, you have been through the shit. You've probably fought a lich or a high-level spellcaster, destroyed your friend's body, and you want to bring him back.
High C or low B. You're right. But if it's low B, I also want to consider if it's past mass heal.
I don't think so.
No? Let's do low B.
Okay, low B. We'll meet there.
I love the implications of that.
I know it's cool.
It is. I know.
Cool
And it's not what we're testing on. Doing usefulness, and I think it is useful.
We're down to 2, by the way, everybody.
I'm glad I got this one.
All right, what is it?
It's 9th level illusion, the only one in the 9th level spell list. Weird. Mm-hmm. One
That's
action,
weird.
120 feet, verbal semantic concentration, up to a minute. Drawing on the deepest fears of a group of creatures, you create illusory creatures in their minds, visible only to them. Lots of spells do this. Each creature in a 30-foot radius sphere centered on a point of your choice within range must make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, the creature becomes frightened for the duration. And it's a little lame for a 9th level spell, but the illusion calls on the creature's deepest fears, manifesting its worst nightmares as an implacable? What is that word?
Implacable.
Implacable threat. At the end of each of the frightened creature's turns, it must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or take 4d10 psychic damage. On a successful save, the spell ends for that creature. I am not going to lie, as excited as I went into reading this, I did not come out the same amount of excited at the other end.
Sad.
Do you also feel that way?
I don't think it's a crazy spell. To me, personally, if it's a 9th level spell and you have to make a wisdom save or a save period,
that knocks it down a lot.
I'd rather be rocking the time ravage, just doing stuff all the time.
It's concentration. It's 1 minute. It's in their mind. It's not a literal threat. It will probably inhibit them for a while if they're that afraid of it. But some of your DMs honestly might flat out say, this guy ain't scared of shit, no matter what it is.
I mean, if you're, let's say you're doing it from an RP perspective and you all the way up have been using the phantasmal force stuff, you know, the stuff where you create these type of images only they can see and cause them fear. It's like the Mac Daddy of those spells, but is it very strong?
Only 40-10 and still has the same weakness of being able to be ended on a wisdom save. Not very good. I want to say probably like F tier.
Especially because you have to, each turn, it's another save.
Yeah. It's concentration.
It's a 9th level
1
spell.
minute.
If I am doing this, I want it to just happen.
Yeah. Probably.
I'm a god at this point.
Probably the worst
to
spell so far. Oh,
actually,
it feels so bad.
I think time stop.
Yeah,
right.
Agreed. Time stop's still the worst.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Here it is.
Final one.
Spell.
The 9th level spell.
Wish. So I'm not gonna read you everything about Wish, right? Because it's basically whatever you will it to be. This is the spell that you touch to the gods, touch out to the aether, and you wish something into existence. It's a conjuration spell. Of course, it does not say this specifically within the spell. I could be wrong. I'm not gonna, check every word, but just a word of caution, players. Be careful. Imagine like you are asking a genie for a wish. You want to make sure your wording cannot be misinterpreted. If you have a good DM, that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to misinterpret.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, they're going to misinterpret what you're saying on purpose because you have to make sure you're saying it word for word, what you want.
Get a lawyer, guys.
Yes. But with that said, you can do whatever you want with this spell. It even says that you can achieve something beyond the scope of all the examples they give you. State your wish as precisely as possible. The DM has the latitude in whatever happens. There is a possibility that you cannot cast this spell again. Ever. So be careful on how that's why you just can't cast it, like crazy. There is a cooldown, and if you start breaking these cooldowns, the chance, for you to not cast this pops into it. So,
I don't envy you for having to make this decision.
That said, I moved Wish to top A and moved Time Ravage to bottom C. That's what I did, kids.
I love how confidently you did that. That's exactly what I was thinking too.
Because my contingency...
In one fell swoop.
Yeah, my contingency with Wish is because it can have such sweeping ramifications or sweeping benefits. It really depends on how you use the spell. Time Ravage will be great no matter how many times you use it. Shape Change will be great no matter how many times you use it. Wish, it could fluctuate.
Yeah.
This is only a sorcerer or wizard can cast this, apparently.
All right. So, or if you're, I think, a warlock with the genie, I think you can do that. I think they get it in the spell.
I think bards could too, but maybe I'm wrong.
So, this is the rundown. In F tier, at the very bottom, we've got Time Stop, Weird, Power Word Heal, and Psychic Scream. We feel confident about those? Yeah. Okay. E, we've got Storm of Vengeance, Invulnerability, and I believe Ravenous Void. Correct?
Yes, that is the normal Ravenous Void. That is in there, yeah.
I'm more than okay with those. D, we've got Power Word Keel over, guys. You got Power Word Kill, Meteor Storm, and Foresight. I'm still iffy on Foresight. How do you feel about it?
Saying if it should be moved down at all?
Yeah.
So is it stronger than Meteor Storm?
Let me go back to it. Let's get the play back. Where's
look
Foresight?
At that one again.
What are you hiding from me? Is it on here?
Yeah, so Foresight, it's the one that allows you to...
There it is.
See into the immediate future. You can't be surprised. You have advantage on basically everything, and things have disadvantage to attack you. I think it's better than Meteor Swarm because it lasts for the whole combat.
All right.
Hell, it lasts for 8 hours.
Agreed. That 8 hours is the thing keeping it there. Agreed.
So if you're going into some major fortress, this will last you the whole time.
Yep. Very true.
All right.
Okay. C is Astral Projection, Imprisonment, Blade of Disaster, and Mass Polymorph. I don't have any of those that I was thinking about still.
No, that looks all right, I think, to me.
No, you got a little bit of hesitation there.
Looks, I still just don't like Blade of Disaster personally, but
It still is basically one of the only ones that is a versatile damage dealing spell in combat that you can move around and shit.
Sure.
Over Imprisonment?
I like Imprisonment more. That's just me.
What about Astral Projection? That's very dependent on the campaign.
I like it more just because it's a more fun spell, but utility, useful speaking, I think it is much more, game specific. So I would leave Astral Projection where it is, and I would personally move Imprisonment above Blade of Disaster, but I can see the benefit of Blade of Disaster being that it's a bonus action while Imprisonment takes a full minute. So
yeah, because of that, yeah. I was about to be convinced, but I forgot about the bonus action thing.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
That.
B tier.
B tier. True Resurrection, Mass Heal, and Gate. Gate is better Astral Projection. I like that it is not an 8 tier yet, but it's top of B. I want to keep that there. Mass Heal is that big old 700 cure all.
Yep.
I like that a lot. And True Resurrection. This one I had some contingencies with, but ultimately I want to keep it there.
Yeah.
Okay.
You probably want to have this at your disposal just in case.
Wombo combo wish to make that 25,000 gold point diamond and then use it.
Because when you need that spell, you need that spell.
Or you could just wish to bring them back alive. Sorry, never mind. I'm dumb.
True. You could.
We know
but you gotta
what
be
else is
very
true.
careful because you could bring them back to life, but they're you see if you've seen Pet Cemetery, you could bring them back to life, but they may not be the guy you remember. Maybe a different soul is in that body.
Very true. I would love to make a wish lawyer in my world. Somebody who does these wishes for people, and it's got an assload of regulations.
I've done this my whole life. These are the words you want to avoid.
Here are your safe ones. These are a lot cheaper for my services. They're guaranteed to do exactly what they say, or we could, you cost a little bit more, and we could draft something up.
Yeah, it's a master class on how to make a good wish spell.
That could be so cool. A tier is True Polymorph, Prismatic Wall, and Wish. Yep.
Yeah. True
Polymorph. Yeah, the fact that it is permanent. Yep. Over Prismatic Wall, though, Ryan?
Yeah. No, you think True Polymorph is stronger than Prismatic Wall?
Nah, I like the immediate usefulness of Prismatic Wall.
Yeah, I like how cool it is. I like color.
And Big Daddy, Strongy Boys, S tier, Time Ravage, and Shape Change. Still agree with it.
Yeah.
That's
so
it.
Are we saying Shape Change is the best 9th level spell in Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition?
I think so.
I'm curious. So if you guys agree or disagree, please say something. Tell us. Pop into our Discord, pop into our Twitter, or, send us an email. I want to know. Say it in the YouTube comment. I want to know if you agree or disagree with these spells. I'm sure there's some people that think these are stupid choices.
Maybe. There could be a lot of stuff moved around depending on your campaign, what you're doing, but trying to... there's no such thing as objective in regards to these sort of things, at least I'll say. So subjectively, if it was a campaign that I was in, this would be very similar to the types of things I would find useful.
Yeah. I would say, though, objectively...
Oh, no, come on.
Time Stop is the worst spell of all time.
You can't... Okay,
what?
I'll agree with you that it is the worst spell in this list, but you can't say objectively, man. That's the lazy man's argument.
Nah, there's no way that's
a lazy man's argument.
There's no way that's a more useful spell than Shape Change.
I didn't say that. But objectively would mean this is a matter of the universe and some higher being has judged it to be true.
I am the higher being?
God dang it, Ryan. If you want to talk to us about how shitty this is, of course, like Ryan said, you can find us on @DungeonCrawlPod on all the social medias that we have, of which are Twitter and Instagram. And if you want to tell us, send us a picture or whatever the hell, an email maybe, thedungeoncrawlpod@gmail.com. We do have that YouTube, the Dungeon Crawl Podcast. You can find us if you Google that. There's a JD on the screen. If you really want to see what JD is, you've heard his voice, go to the YouTube, come to this video, see him in all his glory. We do have a very, very small amount of news. I don't know if Ryan wants to give us a little doot. A little bit. Give me a little doot. A little bop. We are in final stages for the cover art for the podcast, and Ryan is editing the VODs.
Whoa!
For the Dungeon Chronicles, our live play podcast that I am DMing for Ryan, Jamie, and Kenneth, who've all been on this podcast before. We're getting there. We're also reaching ever closer to a milestone that I, for some reason, have decided that it is really cool. I'll reveal whatever the hell that is when we get there.
Yeah.
Should be within the next 3 weeks, within this month. Thank you all for the consistent support. We saw a lot of organic growth, just people finding the podcast and deciding to stick around from December to January and from the months previously. We're really appreciative that you guys are joining in, that you're listening, and that some of you are finding our Discord. So definitely jump in there. We've got all of our links below. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Ryan? As we said at the beginning of this year, this is the year of the crawl.
Oh, boy.
I know. Actually, I guess we should say of the dungeon, because since, the Dungeon Chronicles...
This is the year of the dungeon.
Crawl.
It's not the cow. The Dungeon Cow.
We've been doing lots of cool things this year. We're hopefully going to be doing more types of YouTube videos. If you guys have already subscribed to that, you saw that, I don't know, like a month or so ago, we did a video that was us playing some Keep Talking, Nobody Explodes.
Oh, boy.
So we're planning on doing more stuff like that in the future, as well as doing more, short form kind of D&D content. It's just going to be a good fun time.
Absolutely. Ryan, do you have anything else?
I do, actually. I think JD does.
Come on, JD.
So I was hanging out with JD, my cat, earlier today. And he, sometimes, I don't know if, other people that have animals in their life will sometimes open up Christmas presents from their animal. Sometimes animals will get on, and find a website that they like, and they'll order something for you. Well, JD was on my computer earlier while I was hanging out, just like this. If you're on the YouTube, you can see him hanging out on me. And he happened to get on the keyboard, and he typed in Apple Podcasts, the Dungeon Crawl. And he went over to, I know, it's so cute. He went over to our podcast page on the Apple Podcast website. And you know what he did next? His little paw did like this. Went over to the mouse and hit, boom, 5 stars. 5 stars on the podcast. You see how happy he was when he did that? Look at that smile. He was so happy. And then he did something even more above and beyond the Call of Duty. He went to the description and typed, This is the best podcast we listen to. I'm not biased just because my dad's on it, yada, yada, yada.
Cat-tastic.
And unfortunately, though, when he went to hit the post button, it said we cannot allow cats to post on this website. So
we need you to enter the revolution.
I need you.
And we need you and say, Apple Podcasts, how dare you? This is a 5-star podcast, and until you say that cats can review things, we're going to keep rating 5 stars.
He was
in the
real
Better
sad.
Call podcast. He was real sad. You don't want to let him down.
And we'll deal with the ramifications of Apple and cats later, but really do what JD wants you to do. Go to the Apple Podcasts, find our podcasts on there, rate us 5 stars, and give us a review. It really helps out the podcast a lot.
Keep an eye out for www.applepodcats, PAWDCATS.com. We're going to be making a new podcast website. Definitely not going to get hit
with a cease and desist letter at all at any point.
No, it's entirely different. The spelling is completely off.
Sure.
But as always, we're a little different right now. He's been Ryan.
I changed this back.
Okay, there we go. He's been Ryan.
He's been Braxton.
This is the Dungeon Crawl. Thank you all for coming on this adventure. Take care, stay safe, and your spell tier lists are worse than ours.
Who knows what we're doing next week? We're doing something good.
I have no idea. Something good.
So tune in.